Hey, how are you guys doing? Thank you for joining me tonight. Hope you guys are having a good week. I think I say that every week, but I mean it every week. This week, some of you followed me on Facebook, saw that my daughter was in a boxing match. And my gosh, it was so nerve-wracking. And it kind of is part of my topic tonight, watching. I've been around people a lot that have short-term extreme focus on something, and I've done it myself. And then you can see how it can pay off like lifelong benefits. And I'm going to go into that tonight because I do it a decent amount. I mean, there can be dangers in it. If you run your business all the time in short-term focusing, then it's really bad. It's like you can win the battles but lose the war kind of thing, because you don't have a long-term strategy, but you get addicted to the short-term wins. You're like, oh, got that done. Okay, we get this done, we knocked it out. And then, but there's no really good long-term strategy. And that could probably be a whole nother, topic to get into, where strategy long-term is actually more important. But tonight I wanted to talk about times that I have and seen really extreme short-term focus and see how it pays out over your lifetime. So in this case, my daughter last year at this time happened to get invited to a boxing match for charity at this place. And she'd never been into boxing, never liked boxing, nothing about it, was interesting to her. And then she was actually in the crowd by herself. Like nobody was, she wasn't there with anybody. And this event is big. And she's like, I want to do that. She saw this event and she's like, I want to be in that boxing ring. She never boxed. She never wanted to box. So she started like petitioning the lady that was in charge of it, because this is really a music industry event. Like while we were there, like Reba McEntire was there, and Brooks and Dunn, and a bunch of big country stars and country, the people who run the artist managers, the stage managers, like the people that do it, it's for them. So it's called Rumble on the Row, which is Music Row. Hey, JJ, sorry I can't join me tonight, but appreciate you checking in. Hope you have a good night. So she wanted to do it. So the lady that she petitioned it for said, well, this is for music industry. You're not in the music industry. And she's like, yeah, but I can raise money. And that's really what it's about. She goes, I can raise money. And so about 4 months ago, the lady said, okay, you can do it. Now this is so somebody said, is there any way you can watch a boxing match? I don't know. They did it live. Now it was a great boxing match, but my daughter got beat, but man, but anyway, they let her do it. And she trained super hard. I mean, she put her business to the side. She, she made chocolates for Poppy and Pete for a certain brand, or she designed it for us to raise money, but she was all full-time training, and she's never been an athlete or anything. Like, I can't imagine never being an athlete in her whole life. She's never done anything athletic. And she decides to go into a boxing match with a crowd and people and cheering and bands and DJs and music. And I'm like, who, like everybody that was watching it was like, who does this? Like nobody does. Like I can't imagine doing it, but she did it, man. And the night was full on, full pro. If you look at my Facebook, you can see it was a big event. And she comes out there, and not only is she just gonna show up, she shows out. Like she rolls up. She has this custom. A lady at our chocolate shop, one of the people that worked there was a seamstress, and she made this full on glam robe and this headpiece. And like everybody else, like had a had the robe on and walked out. But Evan had a scene. She comes out and everybody goes crazy. And and she got out there, man, and the bell rang and everybody was nervous and it rang. And I just started having fun because she she gave it everything and she started off great. And but the girl was taller and outweighed her actually, and outweighed her so much. The girl was supposed to make weight, a certain weight. She was supposed to come down, and Evan had to go up a little bit to be in the weight class. Well, the girl actually gained weight, and Evan had to put on 3 sweatshirts and a sweater and 2 or 3 sweatshirts and put like something in her pocket, like a heavy wallet or something, to add 5 or 6 pounds to her weight so that it could be sanctioned as okay. And so she was going to do whatever. It didn't matter, but it mattered in a way that this girl didn't lose weight and Evan didn't weigh enough. So the girl was bigger than her and she had a longer reach. But Evan just, that's my daughter, Evan, she was just head hunting. She was going to take her out because the girl kept hitting her and could outpoint her. But especially in the second round, she started getting, she could feel it that she was going to lose the match. But man, she kept throwing haymakers. And you could see her being frustrated and being tired and then just still come back for more. Like I was so proud of her to just, and she said, I'm not going to turn my back on her. I'm not going to give up. I'm just going to give it everything I can the whole time. And man, 2 minutes, although it's 3 2-minute rounds, those 2 minutes lasted forever. It seemed like they took forever. And when they got finished, the announcer said this is one of the best boxing matches we've ever had in the history of the event. And I was nice. I don't know if it was, but I can tell you that the crowd was definitely for Evan, the underdog, and wanted to see her because the girl, she said when she was hitting her that it didn't it didn't hurt. She's like, in boxing, it hurt more in the training and the sparring, especially when they got close to the end, they were really, putting her up against some hard ass people. Well, she said the girl wasn't hurting me. And I realized that it didn't hurt. So I wasn't afraid of her at all. But when Evan would get a hold of her, it would knock her silly. She knocked her like sideways a few times. So it was great. And then Lou says, like Mr. T in Rocky 3. Yeah. So I love that. He loves that. But, and it says, did she raise, she did raise a lot of money for kids. Yeah. She raised over, at the time the bell rang, she had raised $30,000. And then there was an auction. And by the end of the night, her auction items had brought in about another 5,000. So she brought $35,000 to the table, and it was the third most of all the boxers. A couple of the boxers had like single donors that gave like 50,000. In the music industry, there were some big check writers. So Evan had none of that. She had by far the most transactions, so she got the most, $20, $100 donations of the group by far. But she did great, and I was so proud of her. But I'm glad she didn't win. I told her, I said, congratulations. I know, one and done, please, because there's no up from here, right? She's not going to get great. She's not going to get to be a pro. Your face is going to definitely change. You are going to take focus away from your business and what's really going to make a difference later. But and I think she will, but I don't think she's going to continue this fighting thing. But I want her to continue like fitness boxing, things like that. But this kind of focus was another level. And it just inspired me to talk. I'm actually going to bring her on my podcast next week. And I think you guys will like, if you listen to my podcast, like listening to her, because she's a really special entrepreneur. She is my daughter, but she goes to another level. And I wanted to talk about that tonight. And thank you guys for already speaking and stuff. And I'd like you to comment on this as we go. That have you ever really focused on something that you really wanted for a short time and you got it, or you came super close to it, and then those benefits from doing that paid for years and years? And I'll give you an example of one I did several years ago in 2015. I focused super hard on writing a book. Like I hated it. I did not like writing the book that I wrote. Not that I didn't like telling the story, but it's just kind of a sucky exercise, sitting down. And I had a deadline. A publisher wanted to found out about my story and wanted to, I was speaking at an event, and he goes, "I think this would be a good book." And I'm like, "Okay, well, what's that look like?" And we went into negotiations, and he gave me a publishing deal. And it wasn't a great deal by any means. It mattered. The more followers you had, the better the deal you got. And whatever. I wasn't over focused on followers, but they gave me a deal out of Las Vegas, and I had a deadline though, because if I didn't hit this deadline, which I think was helpful, I'd lose like $3,000. And so I had to turn in my draft by a certain date. It was actually April 15th, 2015. I'll never forget, because it was tax day. And it had to be like 30,000 words. Now with Chat GPT, there's no problem. I could have that written and edited in 10 hours. So, but anyway, it took me every day writing, literally typing, writing, and then it had to go to editor, and I went to multiple editors, and then so that hardcore focus, I finally launched the book. And then I was on a TV show right after that, which was not planned, but it lined up. And then the book became a bestseller, and it was a bit of luck, but it became a bestseller on Amazon briefly, for a couple of hours. But it was enough to pay dividends for years. I mean, it's been going on 7 years now since I wrote that book. And that short-term focus paid off long-term. And I went through and looked at several other things I'd been with and done, like a really hard focus for something to get something done, and how it can pay off. Even just creating things that you create an asset that pays for a long time. And one of those things that I focus on that real hard, and then I don't, is in business, building systems. And really building out a full system on a topic, on a thing, whether it be training or software, or phone scripts, or standard operating procedures, or something that you need to get done, that once it gets in place, it will be there for a while. It might need tweaking, clearly, and editing, but in general, you've built it, and it pays off for year over year over year. One of the biggest, I consult with a lot of businesses, and one of the biggest problems is a lack of overall focus on the right thing. There's a lot of short-term wins, but a lot of people don't focus on building a system that will stay in place and take care of something for a long time. And that's kind of my topic tonight. So, and then also developing habits around those focuses. So, all right, what else do we want to talk about? You guys got any other topics? I'm going to go into that, but I saw some early comments, but tell me how you guys are doing. Tell me something that you focused on real hard that paid off. Because reason I say short term is because you can't stay hardcore focused on anything very long, because it has another type of detrimental effect. Now, I think you should have long-term focus, but not extreme focus, like long-term planning. Where are we going? What does it look like? I think I made a note about it. Here was the note, the quote that I read that I really liked. It said, you should be focused. You should be far more concerned with your current trajectory than your current results. And so that is super important too. What trajectory are you on? Is your business pointed in the right direction for you? Is your life pointed that way? I like startups. So we've got a couple other businesses that I'm starting, and I'll tell you about them as they get further developed. But I like that startup phase. Most of them are software or scalable businesses in that way. One's software, one's a different kind of app. But I love that startup phase, and it's very addictive, and I like focusing on that, and then I focus and then I hand it to somebody else to keep going. I'm the guy that's going to get it to, 20%, 25%. I'm going to get it off the ground. I'm going to prove the concept, and then I'm going to start handing it off for people to take it from there, and then I help them. Chocolate was that way. We focused super hard to get that business off the ground, get everything, marketed, get all the pieces, get the website built, get all the things built. And then and then I made all the chocolate too. For the opening weeks and months, I was in there slinging chocolate, and we made our recipes and we made everything. But I knew as soon as I could, I'm not going to be working in that chocolate shop every night. I have other stuff I need to do, but I have to get this off the ground. And so then, as soon as we could, we brought in a pastry chef. I showed her everything we did. She could do all my stuff easy. It's not like I was some wizard, but she wouldn't have launched the business, but she could do what I was doing really easily. And so I handed that off. And then quickly, my daughter and I just started handing the parts of the business off. And so that hardcore focus on Poppy and Peep has paid off for years. Now, it took a while. Chocolate's a tough game. But that's what I really like doing. And then I can have a great life too. I can go on vacations and travel and have fun and not worry about it at night. But I really like picking a topic, and whether it be fitness, or any certain thing you want to learn and get good at. I think the best thing about it is you have to pick. I read something else, and it was this. It was the Atomic Habits book, and it says this: you want to make it obvious, make the goal super obvious, tell a lot of people about it, tell everybody what you want to do. Secondly, make it attractive. So this is my daughter in boxing. Make it attractive. It looks cool. I want to do it. I'll get in good shape. I'll learn something. Make it easy. Well, I don't know about that. I've never been able to make a hardcore goal easy, like fitness or whatever, and then make it satisfying. So whatever the end result is that you want, that's what drives you. I remember back in the early 2000s, there was this fitness contest called, what was it called? Body for Life. And I remember I was super broke. And I remember you could win $100,000. They were giving away, they gave away a Lamborghini the first year, and then they decided to give away cash. It was $100,000 if you could win this contest. And in 2000, I guess I was 30 something, and 35, or something like that, 33. And so I was still, young enough, and I'm like, I'm going to win. I need this money. I need it bad. I'm going to win this contest. And then at the end of it, I'll be in great shape and, have a much healthier lifestyle and look good and feel good. And man, I gave it everything I could. It's a 90-day sprint, right? You have to take a picture, before. You have to take a picture every day with a newspaper. Is what you did. And then, no, you didn't have to take it every day. You took a before picture and an after. And I did it the first time, and I can't remember, something happened. So I didn't do great at it. And then I did it a second time. And I got in the top 4% of the contest. I didn't win, but I got these certificates and these awards. But I also entered the Gold's Gym Challenge contest at the same time because I was just doing the same thing. And I won the Nashville area. And it was, it taught me how to do it. Now, right now, I got a lot of work to do. But that kind of short focus with a really good goal, like this is what it'll look like if I win, is my main reason I like to do stuff. So today, this guy walked into our powder coating shop last week, and he walked in, just a regular looking guy, and he said, "Can you powder coat these samples for me?" And he said, "Do you have a chrome powder coat?" And we do. We have a thing called super chrome, and it looks like you chromed something. It's amazing looking. In fact, I'm getting ready to do some rims on my cars with it. But we said, "Yeah, we've got some. We can do it." He said, "I've been to 4 powder coaters, and most of these places are rough. You guys have a nice looking place, and can you powder coat this?" And we're like, "Yeah." He said, "Can I come back tomorrow?" He goes, "Well," we said, "Well, if you hang out 30 minutes, we'll have it done." He walks out, watches us do it. We put it in the system, clean it, pre-bake it, get it. Well, we pre-bake it first, get it real hot, and let any oils come out of the aluminum. Put it through the washing, etching, come back out, powder coat it with super chrome, bake it in the oven, rolled it out on this cart. And he looked at it, and forgive my cussing, but he goes, "Oh my God, these guys are going to shit gold bricks." I don't know this guy from anything. He goes, "I'll be back in touch." So today we had a meeting set up with him and his company. This company is a multi-billion-dollar company. They make huge displays for IBM, Google, all these car shows, SEMA, like the biggest, Caterpillar, Nissan, the biggest car companies, the biggest people use these guys to build their booths, their trade show booths. They're huge. I walked in as a 400,000 square foot facility, had custom everything. They make the whole thing. It was amazing. They had a car disassembled in there so they could put lights in there. They had huge machinery, and I'm like, and they had their own paint shop, but paint is really becoming, and they have a chrome area. Like, we don't want to chrome anymore. It's bad for the environment. It's bad for our people. He goes, "We're going to do a ton of work with you. This is one of the best looking quick wins, and we're in this business, and everybody likes chrome, and this works." And it was because we did this. The guy walked in, and instead of go, "Yeah, we'll get to it," we threw a pile. We're hang on, we extreme focused right then on that thing for the guy. And we just made it happen. And that's one of my philosophies in work. Like, the answer is yes. Now, what's the question? This is how we operate. I hate it if I ever hear my people saying, "No, we can't do that. I don't think we're your guys. I don't think we can do that." I'm not saying you can't do that sometimes, but when you say yes, when you open up those doors, when you say yes and do something, everything can change. And I'll give you another example. It happened a few months ago, and this big contract came through for powder coating drinkware. 15 they wanted 1,500 drinkware cups done a day. It was a big company, and they came through our shop. And no, they sent us a request for proposal, and my manager didn't even consult me on it. He just said no. He said, "We don't have a facility. We don't have the ability to do 1,500 cups. We got so much other stuff to do. We don't have the ability to do it." And he knows that's against my philosophy. The next philosophy is ask questions, find out more. But he didn't. They went away. Nobody, the people that answered his request, they went and saw him and said, "We don't want to do business with these powder coaters in town." They came back to us and they said, "We want you to do this powder coating for us. What will it take?" I said, "Well, where are you doing it now?" I said, we're doing it in Antioch. We're doing it ourselves. We have a custom made machine that is an assembly line that does the cups. And I'm like, "Well, the only way we can do it is we need the machine." And he's like, "Okay." I said, and he said, "Let's see what we can do." And so they came back to me with this number for the machine. I said, "No." I said, "You came to us. You need it done." I said, "That machine is over 7 years old. You've already depreciated the whole machine off your taxes. So it's already written off. You need to give me the machine. I'll move it, but you need to give it to me, and then I'll do your cups." Believe it or not, they did it. It's like a $500,000 machine. They gave it to me if I moved it so that I could do their cups, because they wanted completely out of it. And that was kind of an understanding of their needs. Like, they wanted me to buy this thing, but I'm like, it's not worth it to anybody else, and you need it done. So it was a kind of a leveraging situation for us. So sure enough, I moved that machine last week. You talk about nerve-wracking. You talk about extreme focus. It was 100-foot long machine that weighed, and I talked about it before, but we had to break it in two places, but the oven and the assembly line, and then the powder coat side. But it had two 10,000. We broke it up, but the one piece with the oven, two 10,000-pound forklifts on each end, lifting it and trying to go out. This is like 50 feet between them. And the wheels were lifting up on the forklifts, the back wheels. So we had to get it on a truck, and we had to get it into my powder coat facility 20 miles away. And nerve-wracking as hell seeing this whole machine that I'm responsible for go up on a truck and go down the interstate with all the wide loads and the escort cars and everything, not get crashed, and then have to be then unloaded and loaded into a new building, and then hooked up with power, air, gas, everything. I mean, it's been a big project. And today we got it fired up, and the chain, it's called chain on edge technology, where it's a big chain, actually, like, how a chain looks. It's like on its edge, like sideways, and then inside that chain are all these little spindles that hold cups, and they spin. And when they go through the powder coat, it spins and it coats them on all sides. But today, the chain broke. Day one. Yesterday we had a record day in making cups. Like, we did 2,000 something. The most that ever been done is like 1,500. And we broke the record. And today we broke the machine. And you can't get parts for this thing. We were fabricating parts, making parts, and hamming and egging it together. And but I can tell you this hardcore effort, this hardcore negotiation, this hardcore move is going to be like, printing money. This machine will absolutely, the whole game is how fast can you, because it's an unlimited supply of cups I can make. They've got 3-year backlog. I can run 3 shifts, and it's going to be great, but it's super hard right now. I'm a little tired from it. But my point is, there are opportunities absolutely everywhere in your life. They're all around you. And if you're on that kind of frequency where you say yes to stuff, where you are looking for opportunities, they just come to you. I promise you. And the more successful you get, the more people come to you to help them, and they want you to be part of the things. One of the hardest things is to say no on stuff, because you only have so much time. But I promise you this, and I've seen it happen over and over, the more successful you get at getting stuff done, success has a great magnetism to it. And it can attract a lot of crap too. There could be people that want something from you or take something from you. But the whole key to it is figuring out how to say yes to most things, and then decide if you want to go all the way through, but at least listen to it all the way through and make a decision. What can I do with this? Several years ago, if you ever want to feel lazy, get around somebody super successful, and you almost will always see a big hole in your game, what you're not doing. And it's easy to be in our little worlds and thinking we're doing pretty well until you step out of it, until you step into somebody else's world. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I thought I was something. I'm nothing. I thought I was doing okay. Compared to this, I'm not even on the map of doing okay. And so several years ago at the National Chimney Sweep Guild Convention, a guy named Story Musgrave was the keynote speaker. And most people who go to conventions cannot remember who the keynote speaker was, but I guarantee you everybody who was in that room with him that day remembers Story Musgrave as the keynote speaker. And if you don't know who Story Musgrave is, look him up on LinkedIn. Look up Story Musgrave on LinkedIn and look at his achievements. You will feel like the laziest person on earth. He's about 80 something, but his claim to fame is he was the astronaut that fixed the Hubble Space Telescope while it was in orbit. If you remember the story, the Hubble Space Telescope was launched, and they did not polish the lens properly, and it was out of focus. So they put this thing in space, and they couldn't see the stars. It was like it needed glasses. And they would always give him the hard stuff. And what he said was, he said they had a replica of it in the Smithsonian. So for about a year, they asked him, he had to build 300 unique tools, like tools he made them specially to go up there. They had to go up in the space shuttle, catch the orbiting telescope. He had to get out there and fix it and keep it. And I don't know if he brought it back inside the space shuttle and fixed it and then put it back out, but it was in orbit when he fixed it. Oh, here comes a bunch of, I don't know why, but man, there's so many emails just came through all of a sudden. Or so um he, and one of the things was, part of it when he had to fix it was the he was on the dark side of the, like the earth. He said facing the earth in space, if you're facing the earth, it's like a constant, I can't remember what the temperature was, but it was like, it wasn't that cold. It wasn't really below freezing if you're facing the energy off of the earth. But if you go to the other side of the space shuttle where it's just the blackness of space, it was like minus 50 degrees. I can't remember what, it was an extremely big difference on one side or the other. And there was a time where it was going to go into the shadow while I was fixing it, and he ended up losing like fingers or something, the use of his fingers and everything. But he fixed the damn thing in space, in orbit, and became famous for that. But in his talk, the other thing he said was, I get opportunities all the time, and I always say, what am I going to do with this? He that was his mantra. What do I do with this? Because he was a military tank commander. He was as a test pilot. I think he was in Top Gun, if I remember right, in the real school. He was an astronaut. He was a brain surgeon. He was a Disney Imagineer. He worked with Disney. Like, if you look at his accomplishments, like, man, that's a guy who, and he always just said, what do I do with this? Here comes another opportunity. How do I do it? And he was so poor and not good in school that he couldn't even get into school. He had to show up. He showed up in the I can't remember. I'm going to get the story wrong, but somehow he basically forced his way into school. He knew that everybody wouldn't show up on the first day of school, like for the college graduate or college entrance. He knew somebody that was going to be approved wouldn't be there, so he just showed up, and he basically forced his way into the principal. He just started showing up at classes, and people were like, we don't have you on the roster. He got called up, and he basically talked his way into college. Now, this is back, gosh, probably in the 60s. But just an amazing story of extreme focus. And he had big times of extreme focus, and he became a doctor. He became a pilot. He became a astronaut. And then clearly he did some of the biggest things. So please look him up. So here's some of the things. See. So Chad said, so cool. I was talking about my daughter, Johnny P, and I. This is Diane. Thought her after party was awesome. Yeah. So my daughter's after party was at 11 o'clock at night. I'm not used to going to party 11 till 2, but I went and got these at Party City, because I went in and said, do you have anything for boxing that could be for a party? Like, no. So I found these confetti cannons. Man, those are fun. And the big ones are about this tall. So I bought 8 of them, and we could see when she was getting close. We had like iPhone thing, and we could see when she was coming up. So we separated, and she came up these stairs, and somebody had given her some flowers. So it worked out kind of cool. Like, and she came up to the thing, and then all of a sudden my sister-in-law was filming her, because she could see my sister-in-law, but she couldn't see us shoot all this confetti over. My sister-in-law did it in like slow motion. Super cool. And she was excited. I've never seen somebody so tired, though. Yeah. So yeah, here's another one. Chad Murray is writing a book. He just finished it. He shared some of his topic, some of the cover art, and like the name of the book and stuff. And he said, hey, what do you think? And I would give him my opinion, and yeah, writing a book is hard. So Chad, congratulations. And so I think it's about to come out. When you launch it, Chad, let's bring you on the show and talk about your book. And so here's one. I do want to come back to this: starting a new business and career. Yeah, super hard, super focused. I had a long conversation with an entrepreneur today who I've talked to for a while, and I want to tell you about what's happening to him. Taking extreme focus. Systems and habits are the foundation for a long game for long game success. Too many want instant gratifications. Patience, perseverance provides goal. GOAL. Uh, Patience and persistence provides profit, which is a goal. Gotcha. Play the long game for happiness. Yeah. So that sounds like a Chuck House. I don't know if this is Chuck, but that sounds like him. Um, yeah. So on that, it is the foundation, setting these systems up that other people can run. I'm listening to a book now that Steve Trumbull recommended to me, which was the E Myth for HVAC contractors. Everybody should have read the E Myth by now. If you haven't, it's a foundational business book. You've got to read it. But secondly, there's one for HVAC contractors. And the main thing that these guys say to build these big HVAC companies is we build a system that can absolutely, replicate technicians. They totally build and replicate sales and replicate the phone script. Like it's a system you can plug people in that replicates over and over and over. And it was hard to build it at first, but it pays off. And they can just, we were messing with this one HVAC company, and he got to $40 million in 4 years. And he sold it after 7 years for like $150 million. Like, we don't understand it in chimneys at all. And I don't know that we can necessarily that way, but we can do better. We can definitely learn from those systems and those processes to simplify and to create, much better marketing systems, much more automation, automated marketing processes, automated phone systems, automated, report writing, like much better. I had to interview a new HVAC manager, and we brought one on, and his company one of his companies was still on paper, still writing stuff on paper. Like, you build that system and you can grow people. Couple more things. As always, thanks for sharing. Hey, Kathleen. I think that is Chuck House. And so that is, back to the thing with Story Musgrave. Who listening here remembers Story Musgrave? And is there anything that you guys remember from him that I didn't? So one thing, I reached out to him after the convention, and I asked him to write a foreword for my book. I asked him to write a quote from my book, and I don't have my book here, but he wrote a fantastic. Let me see if I've got it. It brought tears to my eyes, because in his book, in his speech, I remember he goes, "I'm a blue collar guy." He said, "I'm 100% blue collar. I'm a farm kid that grew up fixing stuff." And he showed a picture of hands that probably weren't his hands, but he showed like dirty hands. He goes, "These hands went from farm kid to fixing a space shuttle in orbit." And it's just the same mentality. He said, it's I can do it. Give me the path and I can do it. I think the biggest thing in our lives right now is we've got it too easy, and we don't pick a real hardcore path. We don't. And when you see somebody do it, you're like amazed by them. But all it is a real hard focus on something that they want different. The problem is we get comfortable. Everything is comfortable, and we just let it ride because we can. We've got it so good. We've got it so good that we just let it ride. So today, it was funny. I was at an IndyCar race this year, and I was in this like tent area, and we were eating dinner or eating like a lunch thing. And this guy comes up to me. I can't remember he was really nice, but I gave him a hard time because he kept asking me questions or something. And I said, and believe it or not, they had these gourmet hot dogs. And so he said something, and I said, "Yeah, sure, we can talk. I love eating cold hot dogs." And it was funny. And so then we took a picture of me holding up the hot dog and him talking to me. But he became a friend of mine, and he's getting ready to launch his own business. He goes, I want to talk to you about business because I did a little research on you, and I want to start my own business. I'm like, great. I mean, if you want to do it, you got to do it. I mean, it's not for everybody. I told him that. I said, it may seem good from the outside, but it's definitely not for everybody. So now he's about a year in. No, he's 8 months in. He quit his job. He's about to anyway. And he's been focused on this business. He's a hardcore focused guy as far as like detail, 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 detail. Well, I'm not that kind of guy anyway. I'm not that kind of entrepreneur, but he was. So he's at the door of launching the website and everything. And he calls me, he goes, man, I don't know that I want to do this. I said, why? He's like, I think I'm afraid of success because I know if I launch this and I go down this road, I know what it looks like. He goes, I know what having a bunch of employee looks like. It feels like I know what, like right now I've got it good. I got a bunch of money in the bank from this other job. I'm doing good. I don't have to do this. I'm like, well, I get it, but um, you're you're gonna always feel like less than. You're gonna feel like you should. You told me it was what you have to do. Now you're just afraid of success. You're afraid, what if it works? Yeah, what if it works? It will work. And the problem is a lot of perfectionists have this problem. They don't even want to start because it can't be perfect, so they don't start. They're so perfect that they don't even get started. And because then they know it has to go perfect from them, they know the work. And a lot of times, people in your company that you want to be managers, there's certain people that are like, hey, call me. I want to be the manager. I want to be leadership. That's not necessarily the right person. It's sometimes the quiet one in the back. They don't raise their hand because they will be the ones that do it right. They just know how much work it is and they would rather not have to do it. But if they have to do it, it's going to be damn right. And you know what I'm talking about. You've been around those people. They're not trying for any kind of fame or focus or don't look at me. But if you give it to me, it's going to be awesome. And I love those kind of people. Well, this guy's one of those kind of people. And he's like, how many employees do you have? And I said, well, I mean, total between all the companies, probably about 150, probably be about 200 by the end of the year. He's like, my God, he goes, I can't take the weight. I can't take the weight of those people and their lives and the pressure of all that. And I said, well, you don't feel the pressure at first. And I feel the pressure less with 150 people than I did with 10. I said, and I remember Bob Ferrari talking about this at a conference. He said this. He said, if I took you right now from the ground and I fly you up to the top of Mount Everest and drop you off there and let you go, he said, you'd probably be dead in about 15 minutes, right? You can't handle the pressure and the extreme of going from the ground to the top of Mount Everest. But what you do to go is you practice on flat ground and on a little bit and then a little bit more. And then you go, and then even when you get there, it's hard to get to base camp 1, but you get to base camp 1. And then you go to base camp 2. And then sometimes you come back to base camp 1 and then base camp 2 and you could stay there. And then you go base camp 3 and back to base camp 2. If you ever watch what they do, they have to really acclimate for like 30 days. I can't remember how long. It's like 30 days of hardcore acclimation. And then finally, after you've been to base camp 4, you can make the summit push, but you can't stay there long. You got to come back down. Well, that's what it's like in business. Like you can't look at my business and go, oh, I would never want that. Well, you have no idea what it's like. But also the weird thing happens is it's easier the bigger it gets, not harder. Now, the harder things come and they're hard, that like they have a lot of stress behind them. But I promise you this, there's a certain level of business that actually there's a tipping point. And to me, it was about after five trucks or so. 10 trucks was the easiest. It started becoming easier and easier and better for everybody involved, not just me. Everybody had it was better to be larger, in my opinion. And now, I mean, I don't even know all of our employees. Some of them I never meet them the whole time, and they can be with us years sometimes. Like if some of our locations, in different cities, I don't know the people, and I didn't hire them and I didn't fire them. They never knew me. Sometimes they do, but sometimes I'll go visit and they're not there, or they don't come into Nashville. We do training or party. And so there's been a bunch of people come in and out that I never knew. Same with our powder coating facility, because it's not in my purview to know how to do everything. And I think that's the other thing is my focus to stay on that topic is to really get to understand the business, but not like I'll go deep at first, like to understand it. And as soon as I can, I'm back out of it and hand it off what to do, because that's where I'm best. Like I'm not saying it's for everybody, but for me, that's where I can keep energy and I can take on a lot, but then I shut it off or move on. One other thing, and a lot of people make fun of me for it, is I take naps. I'm like an avid nap taker. I almost have to do it every day, and I can be anywhere and do it. And I did it today. I do it. I've slept in my car so much, and my car is like a sports car. It's not very comfortable, but I can sleep anywhere instantly. And I was talking to Steve Trumbull about it. He's like, "How do you do that?" Because I take a 21-minute nap, and there's a lot of science behind a short nap, and it's how I handle the pressure of the day, or especially decision fatigue, and if there's a lot coming at me and there's or pressure. Like yesterday was a pretty pressure filled day. Today was slightly pressure filled with that machine breaking down. But I take a 21-minute nap and I can go to sleep in less than a minute, pretty much anywhere. And people that know me know I mean, I've got my phone set for it. I can look at it right now. It says 21-minute timer, boom. And now I'll wake up with 30 seconds to go because I've got myself so trained to it. But it feels like I slept 8 hours. I normally only get about 5 or 6 hours sleep at night at the most. Sometimes it's 4 to 5. And we've talked about that before, and I don't think that's good, but it's what I do. But anyway, that's my thoughts on hardcore focus and the benefits of it. I don't know, for some reason, can't post comments to some destinations. I got this little warning, so I don't know that I'm seeing everything. But so what else? What else is going on? I do want to talk about Sweet Boy Cancer really quickly. Again, Sweet Boy Cancer was one of those focus times that when we created Sweet Boy Cancer. Tommy Nelms, um, he had this idea, and they're like, okay. And he calls me and said, "Hey man, what do you think about this?" I'm like, "Let's do it." And we hardcore focused on Sweet Boy Cancer, the website. We got people involved. We got our first fundraisers and some T-shirts. And now we're getting ready to focus real hard on it again. But it's one of those things that generates a good amount of money, helps a lot of people. We still give away 96% of every dollar raised is given away to people. The other 4% is just some overhead costs, some auditing, reporting that we have to pay for to be a non-for-profit. Everybody volunteers, and we give all the money away. And I mean, just today, a girl that I know, her mom's got cancer, and I mean, she's broken down, crying, and she got breast cancer, and we shot her a $2,500 check, and it helped a lot. It means a lot to these people. So coming up is the Sweet Boy Cancer Rally. It's a thing I came up with a few years ago to have an event where we can all get together. I ride motorcycles, but it's for motorcycles, cars, work vans. If you're Ken Holscher, I don't care if you bring some World War II vehicle, like anything, doesn't matter. We're just there to get together. So it's June 9th and 10th. It's in Wytheville, Virginia, Wytheville, Virginia. This is an area called the back of the dragon, or the claw of the dragon. We've been riding the tail of the dragon for the last several years. It's the main place we've been having the rally, but we've been there many years. So let's try something different. So this is in Wytheville, Virginia, June 9th and 10th. June 9th, we will have hotel information. We got a room block getting ready to open up. So on Friday night, we have like a barbecue or a dinner, and have some announcements and get everybody together. It's a beautiful area right in the mountains. And then, then Saturday morning we have a inaugural breakfast, and we have some, announcements, some prayers, and some toasts. We still toast Jim Robinson, who the first inaugural Sweet Boy Cancer Rally was for. He used to ride motorcycles with us, and he was a dairy farmer before he was a chimney sweep. And so we used to ride with him, and he was always early to bed. We'd be all just sitting up talking about 7:30 at night. We'd be playing cards on these motorcycle rides, and he just ghosts us and go to bed. But he was up early, and he always drank almost a gallon of milk a day. Like, the guy loved milk. I mean, we had to, whenever we got there, he got milk. He put it in the refrigerator because we always had Airbnbs or whatever. Well, in the mornings, and he died of cancer, we have a milk toast. So we have a little shot glass of milk, and we take a little shot, and we remember Jim, and it's really fun. So then after we do the breakfast, we get together for a ride and we ride whatever the route is. It's normally some big circle. And then then we're done. And then we take a lot of video and stop for some, lunch somewhere. And it's just a lot of fun. If you can join us, please do. In the next week or two, there will be stuff up on sweetboycancer.com and you can sign up for the rally. We have room for about 20 people or 40 people, 20 rooms at the first hotel, but there's other hotels for overflow. But we will put more out there. All right, let me just see if there's any more questions. I have a feeling there's a bunch more questions and I can't see them. I don't know what's going on in my feed tonight. But so next week, I will not be doing the SureFire Live. I have been invited to a military this military night for the Predators. We're doing a big celebration for military people. And so I accepted to go to this event. So I won't be able to do it tomorrow or next Tuesday night. So yeah, let me make sure. I want to make sure I didn't hit on anything else. To short-term goals, taking that. So yeah, that's about it. All right, guys, that's my time. I wish my system was working. I have a feeling I'm missing some questions, so forgive me if I haven't. See, let me hit this load more real quick because it's telling me it can't load some stuff. But all right, guys, well, that's my time tonight. And please reach out to Sweet Boy Cancer if you'd like to join us for the rally. I shouldn't say it. Mark it on your calendar, save the date, be ready. And when we have it all put together, we will launch it. And we're also going to have some pretty cool swag and some gear that you can buy if you can't make the rally to support the people. A lot of people donate stuff for us, and it's a really great charity. All right, guys, that's my time. Hope you have a good night, good day. Talk to you soon.